So I remember the other day I was out on vacation with my family, and I remember this sort of story which was sort of interesting. Me and my family, like sort of me and my mother and my sister, were in the pool, and so they were tipping their toes sort of on the edge of the pool, and I was sort of inside, sort of swimming around, and so I was like, why don't I just fucking start posing around? And so what I do is I pretty much, hit a front double bicep, I start doing lat spreads, I start doing everything, right? And so as I'm sort of doing it, I see that their sight sort of shifts from me to behind me. And so then they're like, "Oh, what's wrong with those two guys?" And then mom is like, "Oh, these two guys, why are they looking at you like that?" And they almost tell me that they looked at me like in this, annoyed expression. And I was like, "Yeah, I get that all the time." And it was pretty interesting. You could it's I think when people see a person who's succeeded at doing something, whether that be building a good physique or somebody who just happens to have, a level of financial freedom or whatever form of success someone has, even if it's just having a girlfriend, as simple as it gets, people immediately get envy just at the sight of it. And it purely is because they wish they could be, in the shoes of this person, to have a physique that looks this way, or to have the girlfriend, to have the money. And, perhaps those two guys didn't know they were my mother and sister. Maybe they thought they were, like, I don't know, my girlfriend or some shit, because they do look pretty young. And so it's quite interesting how the whole world sort of happens. I think successful people in general need to understand that their success will elicit envy in people, and that is completely normal. Because most people are not willing to change, and they don't want to change. They say they want to change. They maybe do some mini micro steps to try and change, but they don't actually do the full effort for the extended, consistent period that it takes to build something great, which means they will inevitably fail. And then they will say, "Oh, it's impossible to build a good physique. It's impossible to try and date in 2025. It's impossible to be financially free or to make $1 million a month or whatever. It's impossible. What are you talking about? Those are crazy numbers." And in reality, those people are just too afraid of the people who actually make those things. If you bring, together the person who disbelieves in those things versus the person who literally does these things on a daily basis, you see how much envy is elicited from that person. It's purely because that person triggers, the successful person triggers the envier, the person who hasn't made those successes and thinks they're impossible. Which, by the way, every belief, every belief that you have in your own belief system, your own mind, will end up influencing your goals. If you believe you can't do something, you'll never be able to do it. And so I've always had this mindset where I genuinely believe if I put my mind up to anything, bro, anything, I can do it. And I've just had that belief, throughout my whole life, and I'm grateful for it. It's purely, probably because of the way that I was raised. Nobody really put much beliefs in my head. And so I was just, out there to explore the world with my open head, with my own belief set, basically forming as I experienced life. Not from other people who have basically been limited from other people and like their parents or whatever. And their parents told them you can never be a millionaire. And so now they're just enviers and they're never going to account to anything. And so it's pretty upsetting to see how the world operates, to see that parents are literally limiting their children. They're limiting the capacity of what their children could achieve in this world purely by telling them you can't do it. And what's even more disappointing is the child just giving up at that moment. Like, imagine you have such a big dream and you're just gonna give up on it. Like, I've had it, I'm not saying my parents never disbelieved in me. They still do. My parents are like, "Oh, why are you doing this YouTube thing?" I swear to God, like right now, I'm mentioning the YouTube thing. It's never gonna work out. Oh, you think you're really gonna, make a living out of this? Oh, this will never work out. This is too oversaturated. Whatever other excuse you could give. But the simple truth is, I've long, you know, distanced myself from any of these beliefs that will not serve me. Any belief that does not serve me, I will not have in my belief system. That's just the way that I work. And so, to cut this long story short, just don't believe in anything that limits you. Because anything that limits you will limit your progress and limit your goals and limit your life and then make you a depressed, motherfucker like all these motherfuckers who just don't have any life. They don't have any purpose. They're just living at wherever the wind takes them, wherever life takes them. And so they end up being failures. And they say that everything is impossible. Anything great in this world is impossible. But in reality, it's just that they're not willing to put in the work for it. And so beware to be one of those people. It's just the whole point. Now, besides that, our main sort of topic is how to build a sort of V-taper, aesthetic physique. We've sort of seen the stories. We've sort of, seen the classic V-taper. Even just looking at the thumbnail of this video, I have a picture of me very clearly. The V-taper is just out there. And so how do you go about this? Now, one of the main key things, you want to make sure that you are always getting bigger. Because imagine that you're skinny, right? Now you have your waist, it's sort of the same size as your shoulders and whatever. And so naturally, you look like this sort of rectangle that's just stood upward, right? It just looks like this, almost whatever you want to call it, like this rectangle. And so you want to get bigger. If you want to expand the top side, something has to change. Now, you can't expand your waist unless you're going to, turn obese and just eat, a shit ton. But especially if we're training really intensely, we're going to mention this in a while, but especially if we're doing the proper things to ensure that we're not gaining the fat and we're just gaining a lot of muscle, because really when you think about it, fat is going to make your waist sort of expand. It's going to sort of, be an aesthetic. It's going to it's pretty much the most, no one who's fat is happy to have fat. I think everybody agrees on this. As opposed to somebody who has muscle, nobody who's had more muscle has ever complained of having more muscle. Unless they're literally, those people who have literally been told, they've been paid to tell you that muscle is bad. Trust me, this shit's out there. Propaganda's out there, and you probably should, watch out for that shit. But, besides the point, pretty much you want to be getting bigger. And getting bigger only happens by eating more. And so our main goal will be pretty much to eat more. We want to bulk. Because when we bulk, we get bigger. And we don't get bigger from our waist. We get bigger from our shoulders. We get bigger for this V-taper look. Now, in general, people will sort of tell you, these fucking dickheads will come out here and they'll be like, oh, you don't need to train anything. You just train shoulders, train chest, train traps, and you have an amazing physique. Oh, train a little bit of arms, but don't overemphasize them because you don't want to have huge arms, haha. When in reality, all of it is complete garbage. It's complete garbage. All these people are selling you on garbage that is you just should not listen to this shit. It's purely stupid advice because you always want to get all your quantities bigger. You're never going to train waist. Waist is never something that is even trainable. Even if you trained, hypothetically, let's say obliques, all day long, you would never have a bigger waist. That just doesn't work unless you're fat. That's the only way you have a bigger waist. And so we don't want to, the main thing about this, the reason I'm emphasizing waist is because you want a V-taper. The waist is always going to be small, shoulders are going to be really big, and then it's almost going to be like this almost hourglassy shape where you have, sort of legs extending out again, sort of huge quads, whatever, right? And so the main point here is to be able to build something like this, we want to get bigger. Now, you can't get your waist bigger, which is a good thing, which means all we really have to do is just train everything else really intensely and get everything else to expand and get bigger. And then how do we ensure that it gets bigger? We eat more. And so imagine if you just trained really intensely, but you were under eating or you were eating the same amount and your body is basically begging you to give it more nutrients so it can heal the muscle and give you a bigger, stronger muscle. You want a bigger, stronger muscle and you're not even going to eat more? And so you need to eat more. Now, how do you bulk properly? You want to calculate your calories and put in simple terms, you basically download an app called MyFitnessPal. It's basically completely free. And so you basically download this app, you make an account, and it'll give you a number, so it'll ask you for your age, your height, whatever, all these sort of different things. You'll just give it everything. It'll give you a number of calories to eat. And then pretty much You'll just stick to it. Now, one key point is if you are, younger than 18, the way you'll be doing things is you want to sort of go to a calorie calculator. So just go on Google and write, Google calculator, just search for this shit. And pretty much it'll give you one, and you'll pretty much put your real age, so it'll give you the real number. And then you'll pretty much put that number in the goals section. So you'll have this goals section in MyFitnessPal. So you'll go there, you'll change the number of calories you eat on a daily basis. And then pretty much this number that Google gives you, you will add, or if you're above 18, the number that MyFitnessPal gives you, you will add around 700 calories to, let's say, 1,500 calories to that number. And this basically ensures that you're hitting your calories very well. No matter how much you move, no matter what form of shit you do throughout the day, this will ensure that you will basically always have more than enough food to basically, get you going and build you the muscle mass you're looking for. And so this is very important because you eating these calories means you're basically eating more every single day. And so you're giving your muscles the necessary nutrients to heal themselves and build you the bigger, stronger muscle you're asking for, which is exactly what we're aiming for. And then pretty much the training side comes in, and you just want to train really intensely on every single muscle group on you. No skipping legs, unless you want to look like some fucking classic bodybuilder. You just have a huge fucking upper body and then have twig legs, which I don't think anyone likes, so just don't skip legs. Genuinely, I hate when people skip legs because you're just harming yourself. Everyone will basically outcompete you if you're gonna be skipping legs, because the moment that it comes time to show your legs, you're just gonna fucking fail. And so why would you just sacrifice such a big muscle group that's already hard to develop? You're just gonna make it even harder for yourself and just not even train them. It just doesn't make any sense. And are there certain muscle groups that you need to focus on more than others? No. Focus on everything equally. Make sure that everything is being pushed to its maximum limit. And so the main key thing here is you want to be taking every single exercise, every single set, every single, exercise or every single, movement that you do to failure. You don't want to just be stopping the moment you feel a bit of pain and you're like, ouch, I feel a little bit of pain, and you just let the weight go. No, you want to make sure that even through the pain, you push hard till you can't do the movement anymore, till you're literally doing partial reps, and then you can't even pull down anymore and you just let it go. That's when you achieve real, true failure. And you want every single real working set, not just warm-up sets, but real sets that you do to be 100% on this. Warm-up sets are fine. No one takes warm-up sets to fucking failure. That's just normal. They're just warm-up sets. But when you actually have a working, functional set, you want to make sure that this set that you're doing is taken 100% to failure. And so that is pretty much the main key thing about training really intensely. You could get into reps in reserve. You can get into all these different concepts. For now, just understand the simplest and easiest thing you can do is just reach failure on every single set. If you reach failure on every single set that you perform, on every single exercise that you do, you will be going a significantly more, advanced way than most people will ever go. And that means more results. And so who's ever going to reject that? And so that's really all there is to it for this video. At the end of the day, it's really easy to build a physique like this. Perhaps not easy. Perhaps it's very simple to build a physique like this. If you want to build a V-taper body, it's really purely down to diet, which is the most important thing, and then training really intensely. Sort of your, 20%, you could say. But really, it gives you a boatload of the fucking results, which is pretty fucking awesome. But at the end of the day, you need two of these things. You need both of these things to pretty much get your results. Otherwise, you're not going to be getting your results. And so that's pretty much all there really is to it for this video. As long as you commit to the work, as long as you genuinely stick to these calories, you're eating these calories every single day, you're training really intensely, you're never skipping a rep, you have one more rep and you do that rep, you're going to be moving a far faster pace than most people in the gym ever will. And so that's really all there is to it. And as long as you commit to the work, you'll be getting your results.